Okay, I recently became a redhead, and ever since becoming a redhead, I feel like I need freckles. Like, I just need freckles. And I've always wanted to wear them more regularly. And now that my hair is this color, I feel like I can really get away with it. I've been getting a lot of compliments from people who are natural freckled people, that my freckles look really natural. So I wanted to create this video to help people create very natural, real looking faux freckles, okay? So we're just gonna get right into it. So I'm gonna just move my hair out of my face so you can see everything, what I've done so far. So I actually started off, I am wearing foundation and concealer. I also have my contour and my bronzer on. I have a really great video that includes freckle application if you're someone who doesn't wear any base makeup, like if you don't wear foundation concealer, I'll link that up here. So it very much prioritizes sun care, your sunscreen. I am wearing sunscreen underneath my base. I like to apply things like bronzer and contour first because they're a little bit more shaping for the face. I didn't want to apply blush or highlighter or anything like that. We're going to be doing some layers. So let's just, I'm going to zoom you in so you can see what's going on here. Let's get right into it. So the hero product for this technique is the Go With The Faux by Tarte. I think this was like an Instagram ad or something. I think I got an Instagram ad like immediately when it first launched because there are so many people who still don't know about this product. It's so good. The reason it's so good is it's got like a little pot in here with the product, and then it has this little applicator that has these 5 prongs. Just a cat hair on there, that's fine. See these little prongs? 5 little prongs. And then it has like a little button. So basically you can just like, boop, press the little button, it pops it into the product, and then you're good to go. And you basically just use this to kind of like stipple freckles around your face. I have it in 2 colors. I got medium and light. I'm actually going to start off with light. So I like to do an initial kind of application of freckles first, and then I'm going to reinforce them a little bit later. So like I said, we're going to be doing some layers. I am going to include a Google document in the description of this video, a link for some inspiration photos, because, and I'm also including one that's like a don't do this, because it's so obvious that they're fake. Looking at photos of people who have real freckles, very, very important. And if we do look at some of these photos, and I'll pop them up on the screen, they're incredibly sporadic. There's size variation, there's slight color variations, or at least value variations, meaning some of them are a little bit lighter, some are a little bit darker. Shape variation. They're mostly kind of like dusted along this cute little like W of the center of the face, so over the nose, on the cheeks. But you also have them kind of like interspersed throughout the rest of the face. If you look at all of these photos, that's kind of the theme there. And these are, from what I can tell, natural photos. Natural freckles. This right here is an example of what not to do. These look so incredibly fake. They are basically perfect little round circles. I don't know if they're fake. Like, I'm gonna feel really bad if they're not fake, but they look incredibly fake to me. I think this is a tattoo, to be honest with you. I think that's what this is. You can see kind of like these little white circles around it, but like maybe not, I don't really know. Anyway, it looks very fake. So I would use this as a don't do this example. So using light, I'm just gonna load it up. And I like to start on my nose because I kind of like using it as like a little bit of a nose contour. I do have the slightest shadowing nose contour on. So I'm gonna start off here. Now, the first thing that you might notice is I am not immediately pressing it down with all 5 prongs. I am kind of utilizing the side of it. I'm also going in and blending, kind of like moving it around. As soon as I put it down, I'm tapping over it to soften. And the one of the really great things about this technique is that your finger's actually going to pick up some of the pigment, so it's going to move it around. So what's going to happen is you're going to have like a deposit of more color in one area. So there's going to be kind of like your more intense freckles. And then your finger picking up some of the product and moving it around, those are going to be some of your lighter freckles, okay? So it's kind of like S-tier technique. Now I'm utilizing the side of it, so I'm not placing the whole thing down. And that's really going to be the key to using this product in particular. It has this like pattern of 5 prongs. So if I just go in and pop 5 prongs right there, and you do that all over your face, it's gonna look really obvious that you have fake freckles. If you see all these tiny little like groups of 5. So the key is, in certain areas, just kind of like twist it back and forth, angle it in different directions, so you don't have this like clear pattern. So I'm gonna keep it relatively up high on my cheeks, up underneath the eyes, up high on the cheekbone, because I think this placement is especially flattering for my face shape. A lot of freckles kind of like disperse around the rounder parts of the cheeks. You want to think like high points of the face, right? So like up here, anywhere where you might get a sunburn or you see freckles naturally, which is typically like up higher on the face. But you also want to make sure that it's not just like one straight line, so that we can make them look a little more natural. So I'm starting with this being my like initial application and area of interest. Just gonna slowly build that up. And you want, like, you don't want symmetry, but you want balance. So you don't want them to be perfectly matched on either side of your face. So for instance, over here, I kind of like to blend them into like some of the temple breakouts that I have. So I won't go over the temple breakouts, but I'll pop these around them, which just kind of like tricks the eye into thinking that like those little spots, those little imperfections are actually freckles. It makes it a lot easier to spot conceal later. So now I'm really going to start kind of just like blending it around the rest of the face, still patting into the skin to sort of diffuse them. But a lot of these reference photos that I include, the concentration is right here, okay? But you do have freckles around the rest of your face. Now, even I do, like I have a freckle here. Is that a freckle? Yeah, I have like a little freckle right there. I'm like, do I have freckles? I have one right over here. So I want to kind of just like disperse them around my face so that especially if you do have actual natural freckles, they're not going to look so out of place because obviously you are applying fake freckles. So whatever you're applying your fake freckles with, you want to kind of disperse that around the face. Now, I actually like certain clusters in areas around the face. Like for instance, I've been really loving applying freckles on my lips because it just makes it look so much more natural. A little bit on like the chin. I like doing this side. I don't know why. I just started doing it one day and I like it. So just like some freckles around the lips. I like to actually go under the nose a little bit. Again, kind of like creating a little bit of a nose contour. But if you make it too obvious, then again, it's gonna look fake. I also really like, you'll notice I have just the base of my brow done. I like going over the brow in this area, which also makes it look a little bit more natural. Putting them on the eyelids can be really nice. And when I say balance, what I mean is I'm not putting them exactly in the same area on either side. Like not exactly the same spot, but I might, like I put, you know, a little bit right here, right here, right here. So we're creating like a little bit more of a balanced look. And I mostly like kind of focusing it on the outer perimeter of the face. So kind of using my bronzer, like where I would have bronzer, as a guide. So I'm pretty happy with that as my like initial application. Really quickly off camera, I'm gonna just do a little bit of spot concealing and we'll come back. So I just did like minimal spot concealing because one of my favorite things about this technique, creating these faux freckles, is that it really helps to minimize like any imperfections. If you have breakouts or spots on your face, it really just kind of makes them look like they're natural, which I love. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna set my face with my powder. So I'm gonna use my Huda Beauty pound cake powder in the center, or yeah, basically in the center of my face, mostly underneath my eyes. And I'm applying, usually I think everybody's really used to me applying cream blush, but I'm gonna be using a powder blush today, so that's why I'm applying my powder first. All right, I'm just gonna focus this in the center of the face, the areas that are a little bit oily. And then we're just gonna slowly blend out to the rest of the face. This next step is so key for making things look really natural. So I went in with the light freckles. You'll notice that the freckles for the most part are basically the same size. You know what I mean? We don't have like a ton of size or color variation. There's a little bit, but not a lot. I set my face because I'm now going to go in with a powder. So I have this palette from Sigma. This is the Spectrum palette, which is like my favorite nude palette. I basically use this on my eyes every single time I do my makeup. I love this shade right here, which is called Mohair, this shade. And I also really love this shade for this Beach Grass. So I'm gonna kind of go between this more like slightly khaki shade and something a little bit more warm with like a little bit more orange in it. So this is going to depend on your skin tone, but I would use something that's like a little bit more, not necessarily cool toned, but maybe something a little bit more neutral, and then something a little bit more warm for your skin tone. But you want it to be lighter than whatever your first application was, okay? So these are actually going to be our larger freckles. And the reason that I went in and set with my powder is because, like I said, I'm using a powder. So you want to make sure that if you are using a powder for this, that you're either setting before or after, because if you don't set it all and you just go in with a powder, you're just gonna have this little blob of powder where the rest of your face looks like shiny, you know? And it's gonna be really obvious. So that's the only thing that you want to keep in mind. As far as brushes go, I really like this brush from Sigma. This was from a collection with a makeup artist. I don't think it's available anymore, but like anything like this, I also have, this would be good. You just have to be a little bit careful. This is the 23 brush from Refer. So nice and, you know, nice and tiny. It's not quite as small, but it does have like a nice point, and it would be good for like making slightly larger freckles. But where's my other, oh, here we go. Is this Suva? Yes, this is Suva that I bought. This is the 26 brush. Also tiny, actually like much more of a point than the Sigma brush, if you can see the difference there. So you just kind of want to go, you know, you want something that's like not as big as my Refer 03, you know? Like that's just going to be a little too big. And this is a fresh one, actually. This is a brand new one, which has like a really nice point, but they will fluff up. So you want something that's going to be precise, but like a little bit larger than this, essentially. So I'm actually gonna use the Suva brush, and I'm just going to focus the tip of the brush in that shadow. So literally just like pressing it into that shadow. And then if you just kind of like check out your reference, like where do people typically tend to have the slightly larger freckles? Again, they're sort of like dispersed in the center of the face, underneath, like on the top of the cheekbone, underneath the eyes, around the nose. So that's where I'm going to focus. I like this girl. I feel like she has a lot on her nose. So I'm just going to, and you're like, when you first put it down, you're gonna be like, oh, I can't even see that. It's so soft, and they don't need to be perfect, because another thing about freckles is they're not perfectly round most of the time, especially if they're natural. I mean, yeah, if they're natural, that's what we're going for, right? So you can kind of just like boop, 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 you know? And again, this is something that you want to have kind of like slightly dispersed around the face. So I'm just gonna kind of go in. And you can kind of just like press them down a little bit if you want. This is also a good option for like creating a little bit of a beauty mark if you want. And every time I apply, I always just kind of like press it in with my finger just to really like press it into the skin and diffuse any edges. I think that's kind of like the key for this technique, is to make sure that you're pressing it into the skin. And a really great way to make this kind of thing look really natural is to kind of like press them like into the hairline. Like do something random like that, like a little bit down here. Just a couple down there. Maybe add a couple to your neck, you know? Tip of the chin kind of thing. Like if the freckles are dispersed, you don't want to go too crazy. I mean, unless you do, which is fine. But if the freckles are slightly dispersed around the face with a concentration in this area, they look so nice. Now I'm just going to dip into beach grass, which is a little bit lighter, a little bit more warm. And this one is another one that you like barely see, but it just helps to create like a little bit of dimension. I think putting them directly underneath the eyes really helps to make them look very natural. Yeah, I like that. I don't even really feel like I need to go in with my medium, but maybe I just will, just cause. So I'm gonna go in, yeah. So sometimes I go in with my medium if I feel like, okay, I just wanna build up like a slightly more contrast or, yeah, something a little bit slightly like darker in certain areas. So I am gonna go in with my medium. I'm actually going to apply these over my brows. So I'm just gonna look now, kind of like assess, where do I want a little more balance? Is there anywhere that I feel like I need a little bit more? I have quite a few more freckles on this side of my face than on this side. That being said, I don't want to overdo it, you know, but I do want it to look balanced. So by just adding a couple more small ones that are a little darker, it just it really, really just helps to make them look more natural. And this is great for like, okay, I've already applied my powder, which means they're not going to blend out as much, you know? Because now I'm placing like this liquidy product on top of a powder, so it's not going to move around as much. So this is really like your finishing touches. I think that looks pretty good. Cute! I love them. Aren't they so cute? Okay, and that's it. That's literally it. I guess I'll apply my blush. This is actually for my next video, but I might as well just apply it. So now that I have everything on, I'm just gonna go in with the Hung Van Gogh Very Beautiful Velvet Blush. I'm so excited. I'm about to film a video using the eyeshadow palettes. I'm so excited. So you'll see that. I don't know if that's up already or if it's gonna be up next, but anyway, this gorgeous. This is in the shade Second Language. Look at that color. Ooh, gorge. I'm actually going to apply that using my prototype brush with Refer. So I'm just gonna tap this on the tip of the nose. Oh, it's not the tip of the nose. It's not. It's the bridge. On the bridge of the nose. So this is very much, I've been like super into like sunburnt blush with the freckle. Ooh, this color is so gorgeous. With the freckles. So I'm using sort of like my freckle placement as a guide for where my blush goes. So that is like another key to making them look really natural. If you look like you have a little bit of a sunburn, you know, then it's like where do freckles pop up in the summertime? So go right underneath the eyes and then just blending up on like the very tip of the cheekbone. Okay, and I like that for my face shape. My cheekbones are a little bit higher. They're not so like rounded. So if I take it down here, it just starts to like kind of drag my face. So I like to keep all of this up a little bit higher. This part is where it really starts to just like blend in to the face. Because if you have real freckles, then they're going underneath your blush, you know? And I fell in love with this during the warmer months just because I wasn't really using foundation. And this was kind of like a really beautiful look that was just mostly on just like naked skin. But I think that this is going to go into fall and winter just fine. Gorge, right? God, that's beautiful. I love that blush color. That's the finished result, dude. That's literally it. How cute is that? God, that's a pretty blush. All right, guys, I finished my brows and I popped on a lip so I wouldn't look insane. So let me give you a deep zoom of the freckles just so you can really see. Cute, right? I think they look really good. Skin's looking good. Glowy and such, you know? All right, guys, so those are my tips for how to create real looking fake freckles. I hope it helped. I did just purchase a henna freckle kit, which I'm very excited about. So I'll keep you updated on that. I've also thought about doing like self-tanning freckles for like a good, like maybe I'll do like a self-tanning and a henna freckle. I feel like that would be good because then you have like a nice light version with the self-tanner, you know? And then the darker for like the henna. I don't know. Just me experimenting. I hope this was helpful. Freckles are so cute. I feel bad for all of the kids who were called freckle face back in the day as if it were a bad thing. I'm glad that they're in right now, and I hope that everyone who has natural freckles approves of me appropriating their face currently. But like, look at how cute with the red hair, like stop. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thank you, blah, 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 whatever. Let me know if there are any other specific techniques or tricks or techniques. I just said that you want me to delve into. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.